guys, welcome back to my channel. It is Emma Scott with another book review. Today we're reviewing If We Were Villains by Emma Rio. While I did have better luck with this book than The Secret History by Donna Tartt, I still didn't finish it, and I'll go into reasons why, of course. I didn't think it was as problematic as Donna Tartt's The Secret History. It just wasn't for me. But there are some things that I thought were done really well, so let's just jump right into it. So a lot of people read If We Were Villains based on the fact that it is classified as dark academia, just like The Secret History, and I guess the publisher has compared it to The Secret History, and that's kind of what people go by when they're choosing this book and reading this book, which is probably not the best thing for the book. When you think of initial sales, then yeah, it's really good marketing tactic, but when you think about the literary level of Donna Tartt compared to M.L. Rio, then I don't think readers will be as satisfied if they go into it looking through the lens of The Secret. So the first thing new readers are going to notice about this book in comparison to The Secret History is the writing style. Donna Tartt is in a class all her own when it comes to writing, and her style of writing is very elevated and very literary. Now, that's not to say that this is a poorly written book. It is not. It definitely hits the standard of good writing or decent writing. And so it isn't badly written. It's a well-written book. It's just that Donna Tartt is in a class all her own. Something that is very comparable to The Secret History is that the pacing is really slow for this book and for the subject matter. Usually pacing is not a bad thing in and of itself, but it's usually in conjunction with something else. So in conjunction with the slow pace of this, much like Donna Tartt, is that the characters are not appealing enough to read and enough to meander through a story. The characters have to be very, very, very likable for you to have a slow-paced book, and her characters just were not there. And the same thing can be said for The Secret History. So the problem with the plot in If We Were Villains and The Secret History by Donna Tartt is that the story is loaded with tons of irrelevant information. It had M.L. Rio and Donna Tartt kill their darlings. Then I could see myself reading these books to completion, but that didn't happen. Like I said, the pacing is not going to be a problem for some people. I just am very busy. I have stuff to do. I have other books to read. And so the time and energy it requires to meander through a story is something I don't have. And so if it doesn't need to be 300 pages, then don't make it 300 pages. I have a theory that publishers are coming to people, writers, and saying that your book needs to be longer and it needs to hit a certain word count. And because of that, writers are putting in tons of stuff just to fill up the story and reach a word count, and that's kind of unfair for the reader, and it just damages the story in the end. While the characters in this are not as likable as I would like them to be, and I don't mean like they need to be good people, I mean they just need to be interesting and everything. They are still more interesting than the characters in The Secret History. The characters in If We Were Villains actually do stuff, and I really did appreciate that. They definitely have their own personalities, and they're not just 7 people cut from the same cloth. Another thing that makes the characters in If We Were Villains more likable than the characters in The Secret History is the fact that they're in a different tax bracket, and so they're not as well off as the characters in The Secret History, which means while they're not as classy, they're also not as posh and pretentious. These characters are definitely more relatable than the characters in The Secret History. The last point I want to get to is the Shakespearean aspect to this novel. A lot of people didn't like it. It was their main complaint. I was fine with it. I thought it was creative and unique because not a lot of books do that, obviously. I thought it was charming. I did take drama, like a year of drama, and if you did as well or had performed a Shakespeare play or something, or you're just a fan of Shakespeare, then I see that as being something you'll like. I didn't think there was a problem with it. I thought it was charming, and I thought it was a good way to kind of bring in the past and put it into a modern work. And so I actually probably will give another star for that. I don't know. I do think this book is better than The Secret History. Even though the writing style in The Secret History is superior to the writing style here, the writing is not bad, and it compensates by providing more interesting characters. So that is it for my book review. Even though it was short and sweet, I do hope you enjoyed it and can make a decision based on that. I know I DNF'd it, but I don't think it's a bad book. I just think I didn't mesh well with it. Whereas with The Secret History, I was struggling to read that book, and I didn't have that bad experience with this book. With all that being said, I bid you farewell and happy reading. Bye!